So first of all, let me express that AgriNatura commends DEFCO for its DeSIRA program, and we are very interested to see the results of the DeSIRA projects that are now starting or are already underway. So DeSIRA's aim, the development of innovation through research in agriculture, is at the heart of AgriNatura. So we firmly believe that research and innovation development will increase the impact of European development cooperation and sustainable transformation of agri-food systems and improve people's life. So I think we are at the heart of any transition we want to reach. So research and innovation is very important. So let me just give you a short introduction what AgriNatura is for those who don't know. So AgriNatura is the European network of 36 research organizations and universities from now 17 European member states. So what brings us together is our common interest in agriculture and nutritional research, higher education, training, capacity building. We think these are the key drivers for development and for the implementation of the SDGs, and finally also to the Paris agreements. So I think AgriNatura has proven to be a very powerful tool because it bundles European academic competences, and it allows us to work in partnership within Europe and worldwide. So we are working together, just to give you an example, in projects, for example, with DG DEFCO, such as the Value Chain Analysis for Development project. We are also in a close cooperation with FAO on program issues. And we are in close cooperation with RUForum, for example, the network of 126 African universities, and with different regional and continental networks. So now coming to my statement here, this is really built on a common discussion we had on the European Green Deal and the Farm to Fork strategy, where we included all the member organizations of AgriNatura, and we had a dialogue with DG DEFCO and with other DGs on our main findings. So we really think that scientific evidence will help to make good choices for policymakers, for private companies, for NGOs, but also, as Elizabeth said, for farmers and consumers. Even more when the situation is complex, and the situation is very complex. We're 10 years from now, we wanted to reach the SDGs. And we see that this is not an obvious pathway. There are so many trade-offs between the different goals. So, for example, if you want to reach the food security and at the same time you want to increase biodiversity or reduce climate gases, this is not an easy task. So it really needs to have a coherence between the different sectors, and it needs on local, regional, and global scale to have a good understanding of interrelations, of the barriers, of the drivers to forge these sustainable pathways. So I think it's very important that political support is put on research, on innovation development, and also funding. And I think, and I take it with what Ravi just said, it's really, really important that we build up capacities. And I think capacity building is key for that. So, of course, we need excellent scientists to give this advice, to have evidence-based advice. But what is as important is the collaboration between scientists. And because the situation is so complex, and if you look at food systems, they're very complex. As scientists, we're not afraid of complexity. That's not the case. But what often happens is that they stay in silos. So what we need is some holistic systemic approach to these complex problems. So we need really to work together across sectors. We need to work across disciplines to come up with meaningful results. And this brings me to my third point, and I take it with what Elizabeth said. We need co-creation of knowledge. We need the input of all actors. So we need the farmers, we need the consumers. And I'm not saying that these multi-actor approaches are easy. They're not easy to do, but it's the only way that any innovation breakthrough will also be adapted to the situation, to the circumstances, and that it will serve the poor. And that's what we want. We want to serve the poor, we want to help the environment, we want to save the climate. So we need powerful research that engages the beneficiaries, that it gives them a role on the driving seat and let them own the process and the outcome. Only this will create impact. We are very happy that DeSIRA is acknowledging the importance of education, capacity building, and extension. We think that these programs are the foundation of knowledge-based systems, and this is important. This is important in DeSIRA's Pillar 2, but of course also in Pillar 1, where the projects are located. So it needs to be integrated that education and capacity building is integrated so it can accelerate also the uptake of the results, because research alone will not solve anything. So we encourage DEFCO really to work in partnerships and to foster partnerships between partners in these consortiums, because we need more concerted actions. So one partnership I want to mention here is between the European Union and the African Union on food and nutrition security and sustainable agriculture, because this is a strong instrument for joint programming and implementation of research activities. So many partners of AgriNatura are part of this mechanism in a support project called Leap for FNSSA. And this project is really built on partnership, on mutual trust. We want to forward research for Africa in the field of food and nutrition security and sustainable agriculture, and we want to work together for it. So, and this is really something that the EU and the AU are doing together, and this is something that I think is a good example for a partnership that is inclusive, accountable, and the most transparent that is possible. So we're therefore very happy that DeSIRA also supports partnerships. For example, the CAADP X Pillar 4 organizations within Africa, but also across the globe. Let me conclude by underlying that DeSIRA, in our view, fits very well in the funding landscape of the European Union, because it complements very well to the Horizon program. Horizon 2020 supported research and development of sustainable food systems and sustainable agricultural farming systems. But there is a difference, because they're competitive calls, and DeSIRA is by design very different, because it comes from the demand of EU delegations, from the countries themselves, and from international research organizations. So research and innovation for DeSIRA is really aiming at bringing impact for development. And I think this is very important, that we say we want this research for development. So AgriNatura will support, together with EFARD, which is the European Forum for Agricultural Research for Development, we will support DEFCO in the DeSIRA initiative through a project which is called DeSIRA Lift. And my colleague Hanneke Lam will present the project later in this webinar. Mainly in this project, we want to help the DeSIRA projects to really successfully be implemented through cross-learning and creation of synergies across these projects. So when today is the launch of the first DeSIRA projects, we only can say we wish all the projects the very best for their starting and of course for their implementation. And we are very confident that it will be, that DeSIRA will be very successful in all the implementation of all the projects and all the 3 pillars. Thank you very much.